All right. Well, welcome back to Prophy Plays. In our next episode here of the story of Mese Kinson. So last time when we left Mese, he left our starting planet, which you may remember it was here in Hadarana, and he was leaving for Mentorok. So we're going to pick up with him arriving at Mentorok. So a little bit about that planet. So Mentorok, it has a fairly heavy gravity. Now, this is going to feel particularly heavy to Mies because Mies kind of grew up on a relatively low gravity planet. Um, it has a fairly dense, high pressure atmosphere, someplace that is not very pleasant for him. It is about 90% water. The population is very small, about 90 people there. Apparently, it's run by a company. When I rolled that up, it was rolled as corporately ruled, fairly low law level, moderate tech level. So, what I kind of imagined here is that people are living on a station that are kind of floating in the upper atmosphere where the density of the atmosphere is tolerable. So I was kind of imagining, these floating stations up in the clouds and the like, which there are certain like. This is not an unusual thing in science fiction to have that type of image. So that's what I'm imagining as we are coming in or landing at the station, and that is what the station is like. Now, the question is, what are things going to look like for Mies? So we're going to turn back here. Remember, we are in our three-act structure. We are still in Act 1, so we're doing event scenes. So that's what we need. So we need our event scene props. We need an event, an action, a thing, a plot device, opposition, and a location. So first thing would be the event. So let me see if I can find where I put my 2d6. There, oh, there they are. All right, so for my event, let's go ahead and roll these, and we'll see what we get. Okay, 4. So let's go ahead and zoom in. So 4, it's going to be PCs run into trouble. Well, okay. That's so I'm guessing we're probably not going to be immediately turning around to leave because we are running into some kind of trouble. So now I've got to go through. I need my D1000 so that I can roll on the various, zoom out a little bit at a time in the various tables. Okay, so I'm going to skip back here as the plot device. Actually, you know what? I don't, there's no reason we have to do things in order. So we do need a plot device. This is a D1000 table, so I'm going to go ahead and roll that. And I'll do in the order that it appears when I do this. So it's 083. So 083, the plot device is going to be back and to the left. An assassination has occurred, and there's more to it than the obvious clues. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right, back and to the left. So there's an assassination. This is not at all what I was expecting. Okay, but then that's the joy of doing these random rolls with solo role playing, is that you get unexpected things. If you didn't want something unexpected, you would not do solo role playing. You would just write a story. Although I would say, I think basically any writer will tell you is that at times your characters, even if you're the one controlling them, uh, you still end up with unexpected things happening. So in this case, let's see, what was the next thing we needed? Things. So this is a historical society, which okay. Oh, this is so something to do with a historical society. It's another element for us to include. Just so you know, when I have these pauses, because I actually have things written down on paper in front of me, because I find that like taking any kinds of notes tends to be a challenge on a tabletop simulator, which is the program that I use. Not let's see, 659 or 956. Oh, haha. Okay, interesting. So the order apparently depends on which one you hover over. So I guess 659 is what I'm going to go with because that's the first one I noticed. So 659 is persecute is our action. All right, and now let's see what else is going on here. Location. So what's our location going to be? I'm just going to hover over the middle one. So it's 924. 924, the location here is underground. Okay, well, The reason I'm laughing is because we're apparently supposed to deal with somebody underground when we are literally on a station floating in the atmosphere. Uh, so yeah, we'll see how that works. And 488 for our not complications for our opposition. Okay, opposition. Oh, it's a D100 roll instead. So let's go ahead and roll the D100. And I'll do the rightmost one to hover over. So 28. So 28 would be an evil empire or a secret enemy. Okay. Yeah, I like when they give you options like that because then you can more easily uh, tailor it to whatever is going on in your own story. It's part of the reason that I'm doing this is that, like, one, I'm taking something I'm fairly familiar with, I'm not super familiar, but that is the Cepheus system. It's like the base system that I'm using for running the game. I'm taking that and I'm combining it with something that's totally new to me, and that is this Covetous Poet guide. Um, so I'm trying to effectively treat this playthrough as sort of a review of this, where it's letting us see kind of what it works like. So I would say just my initial thoughts about this is one is compared to some other systems that are out there for guiding solo roleplay, this one is definitely built on establishing a clear narrative structure and ending up with a clear narrative structure. That is, it's very much designed to say you have a beginning, act one, you have a middle, act two, and then you come to an end, act three is your finale. Right? So it's very much built around that structure. And I kind of like that, although it does definitely mean that you still, as the player, you have some work to do in making sure that you're actually coming into contact with the main plot you figure out at the beginning. Right? So there's some work involved there. Which I mean, but the nice thing about Act One is that while you know where you're going to end up in terms of what the conflict is you're eventually going to end up embroiled in, you have some time, as they say, you can let each act for the first two be something like 10 scenes or so, and it's really kind of up to you to decide the pacing of it. So I like the fact that we can start out at one point and then kind of gradually get into what the storyline is going to be. And that's definitely something that's happening here. So let's get back to what we're doing. So we are in Act 1, Scene 4. Right, so here are the elements we have. We have PCs run into trouble, action persecute thing historical society, plot device is an assassination where things are not as they first appear. Our opposition is an evil empire or a secret. I forgot to write down that secret enemy part. Or a secret enemy. And then our location is going to be underground. All right. So the goal here is to try to come up with some way to weave these elements together so that it's not total nonsense. All right. Well, running into trouble. I mean, sure, an assassination happened, so I mean, that makes sense. Right, so here's my thought: location underground. I'm not going to take this too literally as an underground being like literally underground. Um, Rather, I'm going to say that it's going to be, say, in the lower levels of this station. Right, so sensibly speaking, um, when you land, you're probably going to be land. I'm going to say that the way the station is built, you're actually landing up on the top of it, right? And then you have to descend, right? So like the top is kind of a giant field in which you're landing. I'm kind of imagining like an aircraft carrier, right? So you're landing on top of the ship, and then you go down levels. So I'm imagining what underground really is. It's like the lower levels, right, of this particular station. Okay, so that's where we're going to pick up. So we've landed safely. We made it here to this fairly small station. Not a very high population, only like 90 people living here. And we're down kind of in the underground part. So why are we down there? I guess that's an interesting question, isn't it? So I wonder, is there something in one of these oracles that might possibly help us have some idea about that? I don't know that there actually is, to be perfectly honest, when I think about it. So we're gonna have to come up with that. So why are we down there? Well, here's my Oracle table that I can use for just yes, no kinds of answers. So let's bring these over here. All right. So I'm gonna pose questions of it. So was this something where like we were just wandering and got lost? Maybe. So let's make that an even chance, right? So we got a 26. Yes, that is what happened. Okay. So now we know why we're underground. We hit a wrong button in an elevator, or were wandering and just ended up somewhere we did not expect to be. Okay. So we're down here underground. We need to come into contact in some way with this assassination. I'm guessing that down here would be where we're going to find out about that. So that's the question. Do we find the body down here? I'm going to call this extremely likely. Because if you're going to dispose of a body, it makes sense to do it this way. 11. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so one of the traits of the system is that when you roll doubles, that sparks a mid-scene interruption, right? Which that is awesome. This is the first one that we've run into, right? So if on an oracle you roll doubles, you get a mid-scene interruption. We need to turn to a new page. So let's find out what that mid-scene interruption is, right? So you can see we have a chart here for it. So first thing you need to do is roll 2d6. Wait, yeah, roll doubles in this. Yes, that's right. So I'm going to roll the 2d6 here for a total of. Oh, isn't much of a roll. Okay, for a total of 9. So 9 here, mid-scene interruption is an NPC. The PC knows. Right, no shows up. Okay. PCs know. Okay. So an NPC shows up. Oh, that's awesome. Because there aren't very many options. Like we've only established two other NPCs at this point, and I kind of want it to be one of them, honestly. Then we need to do our other prompts. So opposition. So we're gonna have to roll D100 for that. Here we go. Bring it over here near this table. All right, and we'll roll it. Roll it. Just turn it over. Okay, so oh 07. So that's going to be opposition is okay, some kind of object or coup. Okay, so opposition is an object or coup. All right, the next thing we need, we have a table for. We don't need motivation or theme or complication. We do need a location, I believe. Is that right? Yes. All right. All right, so we've got 18 here. Oh, no, no. It needs to be D1000. Let's move this. Yeah, there we go. All right, and it is 206. So 206 here in my locations is an engineering section. Okay, so engineering section. Okay, like I'm already getting some sense of some of what might be going on. Sci-fi action. So let's see what the action is. Action is 172. Comfort. Oh, that's okay. So comfort, and then we need a thing. Thing is 142. Confinement. See, what else do we need? So let's see, we have the interruption, we have an action, we have a thing. We need a plot device still. So plot device, I believe, is the next page. Okay, yes. So there we go. Roll this one, and we've got 417. I put a tracking MacGuffin on the MacGuffin. Some important object is fought over by many who wish to possess it. Okay. Says I put a tracking marker on the MacGuffin. Or tracking MacGuffin on the MacGuffin. Okay. Points to the author of this at coming up with great names for these. Okay, so we're fighting over some kind of object, which actually that makes perfect sense because the opponent is an object, potentially, or possibly a coup, but I think object makes sense. All right, so we are down here. We're wandering around because we've gotten lost, but then we run into somebody we know. It's really two options. It's either going to be Mara or it's going to be George. I'm thinking most likely here is Mara because Mara is not currently in prison. Where George, I mean, deployed a biological weapon. So I think that's going to be an issue. All right. So let's say it's extremely likely that it's Mara. So remember, if I roll 95 or less, and it's 89. All right. Why does this say 1-8? Seriously interpreting that as a 1? Okay, well, in any case, whichever. Okay, there we go. So I guess it is 81. All right, so 81, that would be a yes. So it is Mara that is there. Now, so somehow Mara ended up here. I run across her down here. Okay. Now remember though, another thing that happened was that we found a body. So there's a body down here. Okay, so the body is here, as is Mara. That's great. So Mara, who I kind of owe because she saved me a couple episodes ago. So that's kind of interesting. So at this point, I think the question, so I want to see what kind of conversation we're going to have in terms of attitudes. So I think at this point, I think they are at least acquaintances. They're going to be at least somewhat friendly. So I think let's go ahead and roll the 2d6 and see what kind of conversation we're talking about here. Right, so we're talking about 5. So between the two of them, they're at least agreeable. All right. So imagining here, it's this is gonna look really, really bad because I'm imagining right now Mies, right, as he's wandering around in the lower levels of this station, right? He wanders into an area which just happens to be part of like an old part of the engineering section. I'm going to say with only 90 people on the station, there aren't necessarily people here all the time. Right, that is, this is someplace, there's probably somebody nearby that can run things, but I'm guessing a lot of the systems here are automated. Right, so that's what I'm going to say. So we walk in, and so it's mostly fairly sparse, and there are computers beeping, lights flashing, that kind of thing. Except Mies spots Mara. Mara Sona's the person who he met as a thief in a marketplace. He ran down and caught her, handed her over to the authorities. Then they ran into each other again very shortly thereafter, since she was apparently let off pretty easily. And then he got exposed to a biological weapon, and she took him to the hospital. So that is the kind of relationship we're talking about here. So he walks in. There is Mara. He's a bit surprised. I suspect he's even more surprised when he finds that there is also a dead body here. Now, we've rolled though, this is going to be a fairly agreeable conversation. That makes sense. Like they have, at the very least, Mara has helped Mies out, and that makes him think that she's not that bad. Like she's okay. She may have been a thief, but she's not a murderer. That is going to be his assumption here, right? So they meet. Mara, what are you doing here? That kind of thing. So I think the first question that's fairly obvious that he's going to ask Mara is, um, "Who is this?" Obviously, there's almost no way she would know. So I'm going to say it's extremely unlikely that she recognizes who this is. Okay, yeah, 24. Yeah, yeah. She doesn't know who this is. Okay, so does she know who it is? No. Right. So she has no idea. Well, okay. Um, I have to ask. Right, did you kill them? This also seems extremely unlikely. So let's roll it. Yeah, yeah. At the very least, she's going to say, no, absolutely not. I did not kill them. Okay. So that's what we've established at this point is that Mara was here. Mara says, one, she doesn't know who this person is. And two, second thing that she says is that she definitely did not kill them. Okay. So there's a problem. So, so here are the questions we need to answer. One, we need to figure out, right, who is this person? So who is the corpse? Right. The second thing we need to figure out is Right? Who killed them? Well, okay. So let's look for other clues. Do we know anything else? So what we know right now is that we're in the engineering section. So we're actually starting to do kind of a mystery here. So we're in the engineering section. So that's one fact we have. The body is here. So first, is there any like sign on the body? Because this like, people do just die. I mean, that is something that happens, right? So does this per is this person have they obviously been assassinated? So like we're looking like clear wounds, right? So has this person obviously been assassinated? The answer it turns out is 93. So that's going to be a no. Uh, yeah, based on basically anything, unless I think it's extremely likely that it's obvious. Okay, so I'm going to say like no obvious like wounds or anything like that. Okay, here's a question. Can we tell? Does it look like there were signs of a struggle or something like that? I'm going to say 50-50. Okay, no, right? No sign of struggle. So that would be consistent with there being no obvious wounds. So no sign of a struggle. So I'm wondering how old this person is. Is that this all fits? This could just be like an old person that just happened to die while they were, and this might be the engineer. Okay, so let's roll on this. Let's see. Is this person old? I'm gonna say I'm gonna say let's make this. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's less than that. Because I think if we're talking about like old like 80s that kind of age, uh you're going to be retired. You're not going to be at this tiny little station. This is someplace people are here because they have a job. So I think it's pretty unlikely. I'm still going to say very unlikely they're old. So if it's 25 or less, then that's a yes. Oh, it's an O3. Okay. Well, yes, they're in fact old. Okay. So they're visibly old. So I'm talking about like gray hair, that kind of thing. Let's see. Now, do they look male? 50-50. They do not. That's an 80. So somebody who looks, as far as we can tell, female. Okay. So somebody who appears female. I'm curious about how they're dressed. Right. So okay, so this is an old person. Are they in a uniform? Like they would be working here? I mean, is that something that's extremely likely? No. Very likely. Maybe. So 1 to 75 would be a yes. Okay, so they are actually in a uniform. So they are uniformed. Oh, so that's another question. Is there a name on this uniform? 50-50. 95. There is not. Okay. So no name in it. Any indication of, and this is something you might not recognize. I wonder if there's any indication of like what type of like division they're part of here. Again, 50-50. 88. No. So they're double. Okay, awesome. So no indication. So we do have. So the no answer does still hold. That is no indication of division. Okay, right. But we have another interrupt. Awesome. I hadn't gotten to do a mid-scene interruption before, so I'm really excited that I got to do it twice here in one scene. Right. So 8. So it's the interruption. It is 8. Something bad happens to a PC. I only have one PC, so what is this bad thing that's going to be happening? So another interruption. So bad happens. So let's see what we've got. So first, let's deal with, we've got plot devices up already. So we've got a 756. So 756 is a plot device. What is that? Um, that's space search. Must deal with probes discovering their location or threatening lives. Okay, so this would be location discovered. Okay, awesome. That is actually exactly what I want to have happen as far as that goes. All right, but this is going to be a bad thing, and I think that makes perfect sense. We can make this all work. All right, next one would be, let's see, things. Yes, I do need things. Okay, let's roll that one, and we've got 243 it looks like to me, so I'm going to go with that. 243, a double cross. Oh no. All right, and then we need an action. The action is 198, conquer. Well, that one doesn't make as much sense, but we'll see what we can do with it. Okay, and then we need location. Yep, yep. Let's see about the location. 518. 518, this is a monument. All right. And then we need opposition. It's a D100 roll. Opposition 88. By the way, that 88 would not spark another interruption because it's only on the yes no table that happens. So this would be thieves or a Machiavellian villain. Okay. So thieves or Machiavellian villain. All right. So what happens? So we're in the midst of like trying to survey the scene, and then somebody walks in. So this is going to be a new NPC. All right. So we have a new NPC that walks in. Let's see if we can find out about something about this NPC. So I need to know about their personality. Right. So, okay, well, here's what we'll do actually. Let me go ahead. I'm going to add here a new note card. There we go. I will shrink this down. Okay, there we go. This one, there we go. That should fit there. Excellent. Okay. Now I need to find out more about this person. So let's first go up here. We have a list of names, although I need to know first, is the person who walked in, male or female? Let's just say, are they male? 13, yes. So it's a male. And let me look at male names. So it's Dane Wright is the name of this person with an E at the end. So here we go. It's a name, Dane Wright. All right, what else do we know about them? Let's see, well, we need to know one, their skill level. So let's go ahead and roll a d6 here. Two, okay, and now remember the way we do this, it's we take whatever we roll and we subtract, I believe it's two from it, right? So we can end up anywhere from, what do we subtract? Three. Yeah, subtract three. So it's actually at -1. So he's not super competent at whatever he does. So -1 for any kind of rolls we need there. We also need, okay, so it's fugitive. Let's see, where did I get that before? I think that was from here. Yeah, I think that I rolled on like the patron encounter table maybe to get that kind of thing. Okay, yeah, I think that sounds right. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll this. D66 table, so it's a 21. So this person is apparently a celebrity. Okay. Uh, hmm, this is really weird. All right. Now let's see. We need a personality. So you'll roll a D100 and divide by 2. Okay, roll the D100. We got 45, but that would make it 22. Okay, so cruel or egotistical. So I'm just going to mark that down. Cruel slash egotistical. And I think I'm trying to remember there was another thing I rolled on. Yeah, I'm not sure what I rolled on before, but I feel like there was some kind of table that I used or something like this. Oh, whatever. Okay, doesn't much matter. Right, so this person walks in on us examining a dead body. They're apparently some kind of celeb. Okay, now a celebrity we can interpret kind of more broadly as it's just somebody who is well known. I'm looking to see if there's something else. No. Okay. So that's it. So this would be somebody we recognize. So I assume probably like some kind of station official or somebody like that. Right. So okay. So is this somebody important on the station? That seems I'm gonna say extremely likely. So as long as they roll under 95, we're good. Yep, 62. Yeah. So it's extremely likely. So he is some kind of leader on the station. Right. So he's a community leader of some kind. So like maybe like the station manager, something in that kind of position, who happened to walk in here. Okay, right. Um, so we've just been discovered. Dane walks in. This looks very, very bad for us. So I want to see what kind of conversation we're going to have. Um, Given the situation, I suspect we're probably looking at unfriendly. So let's go ahead and roll that to see how we're going to start this conversation, and then maybe we can make things a little better. So it's a three. So we roll a three. So friendly. Hmm. All right. Interesting. So he walks in, he finds us. His attitude is not nearly what you'd expect with, two people who are not native to the station. We just got here on a transport. What was it, like a merchant liner or something like that? And we're looking over a dead body of somebody we don't know. But now, obviously, he would know who this is. That seems extremely likely. So let's double check that, just because it's kind of fun if it turns out to be no. Yeah, 26. Yeah, he definitely knows who this is. So let's find out. So what is her name? Well, he informs us that this is apparently Cynthia Walkow. Right. So was she an engineer? So that's a question. That makes some degree of sense since she was in engineering. So we can say it's very likely. So 75 and down. 36. So yes. Okay. So Cynthia was an engineer. Uh, Apparently, she must have enjoyed the job because she was working until she was quite old. So we know that. Okay. So we have new information. So she was an engineer. Now he is curious as to why we're hanging out around this dead body. Although notably, there are no signs of like a struggle or this being a problem, or there was any kind of murder that was foul or anything like that. Okay, all right. So maybe that's why he's reasonably friendly to us, right? Rather than immediately arresting us or anything like that. So that's an interesting question. So does he feel a need, right, to like put us under arrest or something like that. Given the friendly demeanor that we're experiencing right now, I'm going to say that seems very unlikely. So I'm going to say 1 to 25 is what we're looking at here. So we're going to roll it. No, no, he doesn't feel any need to do this. Right? So he is much more along the lines of, oh, so you found her here in engineering where she was slated to work. Um, I'm sorry you were the ones that had to find her, but we will take her to the morgue. We'll do our analysis and everything. It's standard procedure, just to make sure there wasn't anything odd. Right? And that's that, right? So Dane, right, takes the body, right, removes it from the scene. Right? I assume he's going to bring in you know, some lackeys of some kind to do this, right? They're going to take the body probably to the infirmary. I'm guessing they probably don't have a morgue when there are only 90 people on this station. And so to the infirmary, they're going to figure out cause of death, that kind of thing. All right. So I think that like ends actually fairly well. Now, this is supposed to be, though, something bad happens to the PC. This just wasn't obviously something bad happening. There was no double crossing, there was no conquering, nothing to do with a monument yet. Right, so this interrupt is not yet complete. Okay, so I think that the next thing we're not actually going to end the scene just yet. Right, so we're going to cut to something that happens later, right, and that is that Dane is going to show up again. Right. So the question is this. Wait, is it poison? It seems extremely likely. Okay. 57. Right. So Dane shows up, right, and informs us that uh, Cynthia was apparently poisoned. All right, so we now have evidence of that. So there is poison here. Okay, now who did it? No idea. Okay, but we know that she was poisoned. So at this point, he's going to declare that Mara and Mies are in fact both under arrest uh, for what is apparently a murder, because nobody else, obviously nobody else would have had any reason, right, to murder an 80-year-old engineer that works in the basement. All right, so I think that's what's happening here. So they are going to be put under arrest, right, to then be held trial. And I think that that is a reasonable place for us to end, because I think, like, Izmi's going to try to fight them off or anything physically. I don't think it makes any sense for them to do that. So we're going to end with both Mies and Mara, right, being taken, right, to the brig or something like that. Right, so whatever they use as a jail or prison on the station, Mies and Mara are going to be taken to that prison where there's going to be a trial for the murder of Cynthia. What was her last name? Let's check that real quick. My list of names here. Cynthia Walkell. And that's where we'll pick up next time. Right, so we'll wrap the scene here. Right, so next time we will rejoin Mies and Mara here on the station, right, where they are going to be in some deep trouble, potentially, unless they can figure out who it actually was that killed poor Cynthia. So, this is Coffee Plays signing off.